Joining me now is author and political commentator Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
When God looked at man, he said it's not good for man to be alone. He gave him a woman. He didn't give him a village. He didn't give him the community. He said, be fruitful and multiply to this man and this woman. So it's supposed to be God, husband, wife.
If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always done.
What's up, everyone? Hello. Today we're going to be talking about the dangers of feminism. And it's going to be part one because I'm coming from the side of women, what we have seen happen to women because of feminism and embracing the ideology of feminism. This is going to be part one. Next week, we're going to talk about what has happened to men because of feminism. And this is mainly going to be in reference to, and I hate to say black, because I want to be unblack, but it's because of the negative behavior. But this is going to be in reference to the so-called black community and what it has done to the black community. I know that we talked last week when it was me and Dee, and we're going to bring Gabrielle on she's going to do an argument for feminism, but I wanted to do these first before bringing her on because I didn't want it to be like, oh, she comes on and then I'm like, but feminism sucks, because I do think that it sucks, but she might change my views. So anyway, this is going to be part one. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And then next week, we'll do part two. And then hopefully we can bring Gabby on after that to do her argument kind of in defense of feminism. That's what she said. But because I know her, I don't think it's really going to be in defense of feminism. But anyway, thank you for joining. Let's play the video that I want to start off the show with.
None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. It's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Male figures are not substantially important in the family. Now, isn't it crazy that this was 1986? Pretty much nothing has changed because this is still the idea that women have. I don't need a man. Let's look at the stats and what has changed since the 60s. Because in 1960, 3 of 4 kids had 2 parents. This was 1960. And then they say something happened. I believe it's the second wave of feminism coming off from that first wave. But in 1960, 3 out of 4 kids had 2-parent households. Now we're at around 67% of kids born to just single parents. Something happened, something changed, and a lot of that is that I don't need a man that we just witnessed in the video from 1986. saying that a man is not substantially important to the household. We saw these young girls saying, I have a child. I don't want to have to take care of a whole family, as if her idea is, as a woman, I will also have to take care of a man. So in 1960, 3 out of 4 kids were born in 2-parent households. Now that's not the case. The Black marital status for Black women is 27%. For Black men, 34%. In comparison, so for all Black people, we're getting married now, it's 31%. In comparison to Hispanic, 43%, whites, 53%, and Asians, 59%. So Asians are still getting married and having children that can read. Okay? But Black people are not getting married anymore. And Black women are the least married. Now, a lot of people will say that it's because Black men are going to other, races or nationalities, and there has been an increase, but it's not a substantial increase that we could just point the finger at Black men and say, you're the reason or the sole reason that Black women are not getting married. That's like an itty bitty portion. Itty bitty portion. But there's another reason that Black women are not getting married. And a lot of that is based on behavior and choices and the desire. Black women don't want to be married because Black women don't want to be wives. You don't want to be married and you don't want to be wives, typically because, like the woman said in that video, you feel like you would have to take care of somebody. You don't want to actually be a wife. A lot of Black women now want somebody to cater to them. We've become so masculine. We feel like we can go toe to toe with men. We have so much promiscuity that we don't want to admit to. Just hoeing around, sleeping around. Let's talk about the waves of feminism and what has happened. Because again, I said that I believe feminism has been the cause of the declining marriage rate in Black women, or the declining marriage rate across the board, but we are suffering the most as Black women. So the first wave of feminism was about the 1840s to 1920. Some of the key things were legal and political inequalities. So the first wave of feminism was about women, the women's suffrage movement, and women wanting the right to vote. Women wanted to be treated like human beings, like they felt men were being treated. Bring up the second wave. Here comes the second wave of feminism, 1960s to the 1980s. Now we have the key components of the second wave of feminism being social and cultural inequalities, reproductive rights, family roles. This is when we started to argue what the family roles were. Sexuality. Women wanted to be promiscuous. Women wanted sexual freedom. The birth control pill came during this time. Women wanted to be able to go out and sleep with whomever they want without getting pregnant. And if they got pregnant, because abortion was legalized in a lot of states during this time, let me just go and kill the child. This was during the second wave of feminism. And to me, this is when a lot of the bastards were born. During that second wave, marriage started to decline within traditional, within Black families. Marriage started to decline because y'all wanted to argue against family roles. You wanted freedom of sex, you wanted birth control, and you wanted abortion. So in 1986, we see these young women sitting on the panel that I started the discussion out with saying, I don't need my kid's father around in my life. I can do this single parent thing by myself. This is what we began to see around the 80s, because in the 60s, when this second wave came through, these women wanted freedom. So if you look at someone, let's say myself, born to a woman in 1960, there were a lot, she was born in 1960, my mom. I had a lot of friends whose parents came up around that time. They were born to single mothers. So we have my generation born to single moms. I had a daughter in 96. So there's another generation born to single moms. And let's say my daughter had a child. There would be another generation born to single moms. We're like 3 generations in of just bastards having bastards. Not because we are saying, oh, we want to be equal, we want the basic rights, but because we have really bought into the idea that men are not substantially important. And instead of us as Black people starting to say, hey, that was error, we need to go back and change things, we continue to promote lasciviousness, we continue to promote degeneracy, we continue to have this gender war pointing the finger. Men, it's you. Men are pointing back at the women. No, it's you. And we're just going back and forth instead of us saying, you know what the enemy was? The enemy was feminism and adopting that mindset. Let's begin to fight the things that feminism began to promote. By the time the third wave came along, that was the 1990s to the 2010s. Third wave of feminism was about embracing diversity. So y'all went from wanting to be sexually free as women, which I feel like was a downfall, arguing about the family. Now the third wave says embracing diversity and challenging traditional gender roles. Now y'all just want to be lesbians. Y'all just want to be scissor queens. The third wave of feminism made scissor queening cool. Woman on woman. Y'all made it cool. And then the fourth wave of feminism, digital activism, body positivity, letting these fat bitches think they just thick. Although heart disease is the #1 killer of Black women, like 18 to 40, something like that. Body positivity and trans inclusivity. That's what the fourth wave of feminism brought on. So we went from women to now the fourth wave of feminism, including men who pretend to be women. Feminism has been a downfall across the board. But why in 2025 people are still getting behind feminism, I have no idea. It has hurt both men and women. It has hurt society across the board. But if we look at the so-called Black community, it has ravaged us. And one of the reasons it's ravaged us is because out of everybody, we are the ones that like to lie and pretend like we don't see the problem. We are the ones that in 2025 are still saying, I don't need a man. When you look at these popular artists like Glorilla, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, they're promoting these things in feminism that rip the community apart. The freedom in sexuality, the challenging traditional gender roles, the body positivity, just naked every time you turn around, because you better not say nothing to a woman, and you especially better not say nothing to a Black one. Black women are beyond correction. Black women as a whole are beyond redirecting. You see that the Black community and oozing blood, yet we still want to lie and act like we don't see what's going on. We don't see that having men out of position and us feeling like we are the man, we can stand toe to toe to men, is an issue. We like to pretend like that's not the case. Feminism has rotted the brain of Black women. Brains just rotten, delusional. We now kill more Black babies than are born. But this was the second wave of feminism that so many before us applauded. So many before us opened the door to and said, yes, my body, my choice. We're still doing it, still hopping on the bandwagon. So y'all talking about reparations, but this is your reparations. You see what all this my body, my choice then got you? Getting married at 27%. Being the least married. Y'all masculine now because of the third wave of feminism, where you wanted to challenge traditional gender roles. Now there are greeting cards on Father's Day for women. And we have women running around saying, I'm the mother and the father. This is what has happened to women embracing feminism. We got these bastard babies all over the place that have no type of structure, no respect for authority. Boys and girls don't respect authority. And then every time I turn around, there's a little boy that wants to be a girl. When I was coming up, we didn't see all this splitting and farrying from guys. But because we decided men were not important, who do the little boys have to look up to? They have no desire to do anything traditional because we embraced all these different waves of feminism. According to D.A. Fannie Willis, a man is not a plan. According to God, it is not good for man to be alone. And we have so many women listening to people like Fannie Willis because she's educated. You know, there's a group of people that like to run around saying they're the most educated, which isn't true, but that's who is always hollering, we're the most educated. But at 27% marriage, and what we're seeing, the matriarchal idea produce, you definitely aren't the smartest. They don't need a man, but they need his money. And we always see that, right? We see so many of these women saying, I don't need a man, but at the same time saying, if you don't give me money, don't even talk to me. Don't call me. Don't take me to the Cheesecake Factory. All these standards. So you want the money, but you don't want the man. You don't want to submit to his leadership, but you want what's in his pockets. Now that can go both ways. But you follow me, right? You understand? Big bone. That's what they think they are, big bone. You don't want to follow the man's leadership, but you want what's in his pockets. And let me double back to when I was saying we like to lie. We love to lie. There was this clip that I was looking at. Let me go find it. This clip I was looking at, I think it was from 1970. Where the lady says, she just starts to lie about she just starts to lie about what the problems are. Let's see. Listen to this woman right here who won't be honest about where we are or where they were at that time.
Black awareness means to their families and to them as Black women of today.
You know, there have been a lot of myths created about the Black family. We all recognize that. And one of the most pernicious myths is the myth of the Black matriarch, you know, and this whole concept. And I think this is one of the reasons that the Black community reacted so negatively to the Moynihan report, because we know that that's not true.
It was not like
the Black woman has not been a matriarch in the sense that it has been defined thus far. And thank God research, and I hope Black research is being done now to reverse that kind of thing. In fact, the Black woman has been a woman at the head of a household, not by choice, but by necessity. And more often, that's right, and more often than not, she is not a strong, matriarchal, aggressive, domineering figure. She is a woman in search of a man. But this story has not been told.
the prejudiced society created what we have now. So that's what we were. Okay, we have a revolution going on.
Now, this lady just lied through her teeth. Okay, she lied in 1970 saying that the Black community wasn't a matriarchal society. And then she justified the people who were upset by the Moynihan report, saying that that report was a lie. Yet here in 2025, we see that that report was completely accurate. Or we see how accurate it was. That we were told then that we would be around we would be around 70% by the early 2000s of kids being born to single parent households, and they were mad then. And this lady saying the report was false, and hopefully Black research was being done and people could see that that wasn't the case. Fast forward to 2025. The only Black research we need to see, or the proof that we need, it's in the pudding. Look around. We have reached the numbers that they said we would reach then. This is over 50 years ago. And we had a warning that we did not heed. And look at us now. And we're still lying, acting as if the matriarchy isn't an issue, isn't a problem. She's saying these women are looking for men. You cannot look for a man, or no man is going to desire you when you think you are the man. This masculine behavior, let me show you what this masculine behavior has produced. Let's look at what this masculine behavior has produced.
I'm gonna break out right now. Hold on. I'm F-R-E-E for nigga freak. Baby, I ain't got no problem. I don't fuck nigga. You know, I'm F-R-E-E, fuck nigga free. That mean I ain't gotta worry about no fuck nigga cheat. And I'm S-I-N-G-L-E again. Outside hanging out the window with my ratchet ass friends. I'm F-R-E-E, fuck nigga free. That mean I ain't gotta worry about no fuck nigga cheat. And I'm S-I-N-G-L-E again. Outside hanging out the window with my ratchet ass friends. Go!
I'm so sorry to subject y'all to fat, out of shape, shaking behinds, but this is what I'm saying. This is what we have produced. We're in the 2020s, and women, Black women, are still bragging about being single and now trying to make it okay. In 1970, she said, "Oh, it's not we're not matriarchal. It's not an issue. The Moynihan report was lies." And then in 1986, we see these young girls saying the Black man is not substantial to the household. And then in the 90s, we had Look Him, right? And now here we have this girl saying, I'm S-I-N-G. I mean, just excited about being single. And not just being single, smoking, sounding like a man, being hard. We see all the things that we adopted in this one video. We see the adoption of sexuality, the freedom of sexuality, legalization of abortion. We see challenging traditional gender roles. We see the whole body positivity, all these key components of these waves of feminism that we adopted that are having a negative effect on women. Now, God forbid you add any of the other elements, such as, the lack of education, we are screwed. But then we wonder why other groups of people look down their nose look down their nose at Black people in general, but look at you. We gotta be crazy. There's a kink in the hole somewhere that we can't look back to 1970, 1986, 1990, 2022, 23, 24, 25, and see there is an issue. Yet we still create, or we still allow all of these people to say things like, marriage does not benefit men. Well, listen, if you got a lot of money, you do need to protect your assets. But for the majority of Black people, there's like over 1 million, over 2 million women making $50,000 or less. We're not talking this, that doesn't refer to you. You need to be coming together to create families, to raise these children in stable environments with morals and values. Because this degeneracy that we're promoting, we're not having a good outcome. And ladies, you are fooling yourselves if you think that you're okay and you're the least married. It's not a pat on the back for the man to just want to sleep with you and leave you a baby, because you're not doing great jobs raising them. And I don't want to hear about, I don't want to hear somebody say, well, I was raised by a single mom and I was fine. There are those of us who were raised by single moms and we came out all right. We're not talking about the exceptions. We're talking about the majority. We're talking about what we are seeing now and the fruit of our actions. That's what we're talking about. Anthony Walker, Pastor Anthony Walker says, I said it in my sermon this past Sunday. It went from I don't want a man to I don't need a man to the son saying, I don't want to be a man. And now the women are saying, I am a man. And we can look around and see this whole idea of YNs. We know that stands for young niggas. And the promotion of the negative behavior that comes with that, that's a problem. These kids are not going to school to be the next engineers or doctors. They're not even getting trades to be the next plumbers. Everybody wants to be a rapper. Everybody wants to be the next football or basketball star because they feel like that's a legal way to give you that drug dealer lifestyle. And we think that we're not going to look up 20, 30, 40 years from now. If we stay on this same path, we're not going to look up and it's going to be worse. Somebody's going to be pulling videos from 2025 saying they tried to tell us in 2025. And then in 1986 and in 1970, and nobody listened. It's not going to get better. If it takes 15 years to demoralize a generation, we got some work to do just pulling us back from where we've allowed this to go because we didn't listen 50 years ago. There needs to be course correction right now. It should have been happened. But we cannot afford to keep going along this same path. The end is destruction. Jeff reposted this stream. Thank you, Jeff. Viewing evil as good and good as evil. Katie, yes, absolutely. We don't see, people don't want to see the problem. Yanni says hip hop culture is trash. And it is. And I'm not talking about the Sugar Hill Gang. So I think there are a lot of people that get offended when you say hip hop culture is trash because they think Sugar Hill Gang. Hip hop, the hip to the hip hop, you don't stop or rock it to the bang bang boogie, say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogity beat. We ain't talking about that. We're not even talking about LL in his room being alone, staring at the wall. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about what it has morphed into, this nigga bitch culture. Nigga bitch, sleep around, do what I want. I'm a savage. I got babies all over the place. That's what hip hop has morphed into. So if you like the underground rap, if you like Sugar Hill Gang, I'm not talking to you. We're talking about this mainstream that's put in front of our kids now, the Sexy Reds, the Cardi B's, that are promoting degeneracy. Hip hop culture is trash. And we can't be mad at anybody else but ourselves together, men and women, because we're not pointing the finger and saying, man, it's your fault. You know, the men saying, no, we waiting on each other to fix it. We need to grab hands and say, we should not have adopted the ideas of feminism. It has torn us apart. And if we don't change, if we don't do an about face, if we don't pivot right now, it's only going to be worse for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. It's not going to get better. It hasn't. It already hasn't. And so, you know, trying to have a little grace about myself. Maybe the lady in the video from 1970, she didn't completely see, you know, a complete demise at that time. So she was able to be in denial. But what's the problem now? Why do we have so many people in denial now that we pretend like we don't see the problem? What's the excuse? Because now it is clear. If it wasn't clear in 1970, it is definitely clear in 2025. Go to the funeral of one of these YNs, because they dying, dropping dead like flies left and right. Go to one of their funerals. I'm not even shocked anymore when the mother is a lesbian and there's some other stud lesbian standing up there mourning these YNs like they were the father, like they could actually replace the men. Bunch of lesbians in there with locks. And the men have gone on about their business. But we're going to get to the men. And don't think, women, that I'm just coming down hard on you and acting like you are the only ones that have been affected by feminism. You're not, which is why I say that we need to grab hands, men and women, and say, I see the enemy. I see what the enemy did. I see what ignoring the enemy has done to Black communities. Now we need to start tearing those idols of feminism down so that we can come together and do better. So I'm not just getting on you women. The men of next week, But today we are talking about you because you continue to love, embrace, hug, and hold on to and kiss the tenets of feminism that have ruined communities across the country. And because it has affected Black people the most, it's the only reason why I'm kind of talking to y'all. You know, I don't even like the whole idea of black, black, black. But I cannot unsee what I've seen in these statistics in Black women being the least married. And you still popping out kids. You still popping out kids. And if there is no structure, if there is no stability in the home, then these kids are sitting in front of the television all day, sitting on social media all day, absorbing and consuming BS, raunchy rap music, the stuff that we see online. They're consuming this stuff. And as a single mom, you don't have the time and the energy and the wherewithal to be paying attention. It's easy for you, if you've been at work 10, 12 hours, to just throw a phone in your child's hand when you do get around them and let the phone do the rest of the race. It's easy. So as the least married, I gotta come to y'all because you're raising kids that are wreaking havoc in communities across the country. And a lot of y'all are so high, because let's not forget, I said you think you're men, you want to be men. A lot of y'all are living lifestyles that are very masculine. Y'all are so high, you ain't good for nobody. You're not even good for yourself, much less being able to raise children. Because you want to be the man. You want to be equal to the man. And when I say the man, I'm not talking about the white man. I'm talking about men. You want to be equal to him. You don't want to submit. You don't want to be a wife. You don't want to be led. And this is why Black men, again, the statistics of interracial marriages is not as big as social media likes to make it seem as it is. However, Black men are marrying white at twice the rate that Black women marry white. And it's not because people don't like your skin color, Black women. It is not a skin color thing. It is a behavior thing. And a lot of the behavior that we walk around here with is rooted in feminism. We were taught this behavior, a lot of it. And it's been celebrated. And it's been celebrated so much so that now we don't even like hearing correction. A lot of people are now hopping on Shahrazad Ali's bandwagon. And it's a good thing, thank God, but we are late. She's the reason I don't eat pork, but she has been, and I've been without pork 31 years, but she has been teaching this stuff for years. And we turned a deaf ear and blind eye to someone trying to correct us. And now we're to the point where not only do we not want to hear correction, we get mad and come after the person trying to correct us. Women, that don't need a man. And then y'all kill me talking about you don't need a man, but then you go get a woman who wants to look and act and be a man. Because y'all not, a lot of y'all, you're not going out here getting, feminine females. You're getting these girls with their pants sagging, titties bound up, trying to press them down, talking ignorant. So you don't need a man, but you go get a woman that look just like one. You don't need a man, but you go get a woman who needs to buy some type of strap-on in order to sexually please you. Make it make sense, because it don't make sense to me. Sounds like mental illness. Sounds like mental illness. And y'all walking around here with all of this hair. You're spending so much money on weaves and eyelashes, but you're not putting anything into developing your character. Because y'all will go pay for a BBL. You'll go pay for some titties. You'll pay thousands of dollars for some hair and some eyelashes, but you're not putting anything towards your character and behavior. A lot of you need therapy. And I'm not saying that to be condescending. Therapy is good, especially with some of the things that a lot of women have had to deal with. We know how prevalent molestation can be. Your uncle touched you or whatever, your older cousin. Therapy, I'm not saying it in a condescending, belittling way. It's a good thing, and it would be helpful. Because in my opinion, the only women even worth trying to save are those that can recognize there's an issue. But if you walking around here high-minded, can't nobody tell you nothing, nobody needs to marry you. I wouldn't. There's no benefit. For real. Because it's better for a man to sit on the corner of a roof than to share a home with a quarreling woman. A lot of y'all are mean, angry, bitter, and hard to deal with. Mean, angry, bitter, and hard to deal with.
No, look at your street. Down in the lower right corner, that is Shakar Richardson. And
I can't listen to his commentary, but this is the video of Shakari Richardson. Let me go back to the beginning. Video of Shakari Richardson fighting or pushing or shoving her boyfriend in the airport. Look at this. Feeling like you can go toe-to-toe with the man. Now, if he had turned around and backslapped her little behind and she went flying to a different terminal, then everybody would be in an uproar. It would be mass outrage. But look at this woman not only embarrassing herself, she's embarrassing him, and she's embarrassing others. Like, you are in public acting like an untamed gorilla. With the things that you have accomplished in life, that behavior is following you. So who cares about the gold medals? You're angry, bitter, masculine, and nobody wants to deal with you. Nobody should. No, who should marry that? Who should marry that? For a lifetime of heartache? For people not to want to invite you to the party or to the cookout because your woman don't know how to act? You can't be in certain circles with that type of unsocialized, uncivilized, unsocialized pavement ape. Where you gonna take that? And I'm not saying it because of her skin color. I'm talking about the behavior. Because even he made excuses for it. Well, I don't think she should have been arrested. But if it had been a man doing that to a woman, we would have thought he should have been arrested. We would be upset. Remember when, and of course, a little shove is not on the same level of Chris Brown and the whole Rihanna thing. But years later, people still want Chris Brown to pay. But it was no big deal for Sha'Carri Richardson to act like this. We don't bat an eye when we see women fighting men. But the moment he retaliates, because let's remember, at the end of the day, this is still a man. He's human, ain't but so much he can take. Hey, Khalees. Rejection of God's order of things. Absolutely correct, Katie. And that's what we've done on such a large scale. We have rejected the natural order. So much so that there are people that argue with me that saying that's not even the natural order. But look at the fruit. You know a tree by the fruit it bears. We know a tree by the fruit it bears. So what are the solutions? The solutions are getting back to traditional values. The solutions are, we got to stop being complacent and compliant with this BS. So many people don't want to say anything. Well, I'ma just not say nothing and keep my head down. I'ma just go about my own. You can't. Because now what used to be maybe like a minority is growing. It's getting bigger. These uncivilized, unsocialized pavement apes, the numbers are growing. They're like gremlins. Somebody then got them wet. They've been exposed to. They done been exposed. They done ate after midnight. And they are replicating. These little gremlins all over the place. And if you remember the movie, remember how they was all over the place? They're replicating. And they're all over the place. We can't just put our heads down anymore and pretend like we don't see it. They put their heads down when the Moynihan report came out. They were upset, saying he was lying. He didn't know what he was talking about. When that documentary came out, The Vanishing of the Black Family in 1986, people put their heads down. Dang, if I just put my head down, it's going to get better. I put my head down. When did Lil' Kim come out? In 96? She was drinking babies. I ain't had no problem with it. Rapping alone, put my head down. We were upset when they tried to come against gangster rap. So many just, we were compliant. We put our heads down. And look at what is getting us. Look at what's happening from putting your heads down. So the solution is to stop putting your head down, to start calling this stuff out, and to start teaching traditional values, and to start shaming these people. It's time to shut the lion's mouth. Running around here promoting anything other than what we knew and what we saw work. Black people held on to traditional values for years. And then just like that, that doesn't work. That's a white supremacist mindset. But look at what we're getting. Look at what we're getting now. So having a family, a man being important, a woman understanding her role in being the helpmeet, that was white supremacy. Didn't matter that it was, birthing scholars and people were going on to do great things. And we got our Ben Carsons and our Michael Jordans and our Clarence Thomases and our Glenn Lowrys. It didn't matter that those traditional values birthed good fruit. We want to net us white supremacy. We're not supposed to be together. We're not supposed to get married. The man is not supposed to lead and be in charge. The woman is. Vote for a black woman. Vote like a black woman. All this stupid stuff that we promoting. But you know a tree by the fruit it bears. And I'm looking at the fruit. The fruit is rotten. I'm a fruit inspector. The fruit is rotten. So the solution is getting back to basics. If it don't look like the basics, reject it. If it don't sound like the basics, reject it. If it's not promoting getting back to basics, reject it. I don't care how much they're getting paid, reject it. Shame them, put them down, redirect them, because the solution is going back to the beginning when it worked. When we had traditional families and we had stability and it worked. Because what we're doing right now, it's just not working. It's not working, period. If the music is not promoting traditional values, reject it. And we need to be real clear about what a family is. A family is not two women trying to raise a man. A family is not two men deciding because, there's a such thing as a surrogate. Now they can pretend like they mom and family. A family is a man and a woman. Let's get back to tradition. Because a lot of what we're seeing, this degeneracy, it's environmental. It's what we've allowed and what we've embraced as culture. Oh, this black culture. No, it's not. It's black degeneracy. And we need to reject it. Get back to basics. Let's go back to the beginning. In the beginning, Blacks need to be better at holding each other accountable for bad behavior. It's well overdue. well overdue. The economy is going to force cooperation. It's going to be way too expensive to live alone. For sure. For sure. Problem with authority and refusing to take responsibility? Absolutely. This generation, this younger generation, they have a problem with authority and they don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to be accountable. Oh, I would do this, but the white man. I would go to school, but the white man. I would be a plumber, but the white man. I would take care of my kids, but the white man. I'm so sick of the white. Sick of hearing about the white. I want to hear about Dontavius. Okay? It ain't the white's fault. It's Dontavius and Darantis. Let's come together and let's start knocking down these tenets of feminism that ruined the Black family. Can we stop lying at this point? Can we stop lying and pretending like the matriarchal, us abiding by that is not an issue? Can we please stop lying about that? It's an issue. When Father's Day roll around next year and we hear women saying, I'm the mother and the father, can we start putting them down? Can we maybe start boycotting these card companies that are creating greeting cards for moms, making them think that they have the ability to be the mother and the father? Because it's insane. Women that think they the mother and the father are just as insane as a man in a dress. Y'all are just as insane. That's mental illness. And continuing to do it, think that you're going to get a different result than these YNs that we see out here is mental illness. You just as bad as a big old Ken doll stuffing his foot into Barbie's slipper. You are just as irrational and insane. Because it's clear. You can't even look the other way at this point, because you look this way, YN. You look this way, it's another YN. Look this way, YN's all over the place. Like gremlins. Can we please stop feeding them after midnight? It ain't working. Degeneracy sells and is quite lucrative. People pay good money to watch these animals publicly make fools of themselves. So true. But that's the solution. Let's get back to the basics, because all this other stuff is not working. Let's get back to 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2. Back to basics. Thank y'all for tuning in. Again, next week, we ain't going to just talk about these masculine women. We're going to talk about how so many men have embraced effeminate qualities. Again, though, the root cause, the problem is feminism and how we've embraced it. But women, now you can see possibly where you went wrong. Men, we're going to point out some things that we see feminism has done to you next week. And then eventually, Gabby's going to come on and make an argument for feminism. And I can't wait. I'm excited. Anyway, y'all have a great weekend. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. We'll be back next week for part 2. In the meantime, don't get these little things wet. Turn the lights off. And don't let them eat after midnight. The breeding has to stop. somewhere.